it already time for Davos again? Klaus Schwab and Bourla, wish it was a bit taller, CEO of Pfizer, have been meeting, talking about all the wonderful money they created during the last couple of years. I mean, vaccines! Hello there, you 5.6 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this voyage towards truth with all of its complexity, with all of its apparent contradiction. That's why we need, as I've always said, a one world government headed up by Klaus Schwab and heads of big business like Bourla. What do you mean you'd prefer to run your own life? Shut up! What are you, a conspiracy theorist? As you know, Davos are meeting at the moment. You'll know that already if you're a subscriber and you watch our videos we do. If you're not a subscriber yet, subscribe right now. Remember to comment below and tell us what you think about this content. And by the way, I was being sarcastic when I was saying that we should have a one world government. That's the opposite of what we should have. A unified vision, local democracy, autonomy in our own individual lives, because we're all different and we all need freedom, and one man's freedom might not be another woman's freedom. So we've got to come up with new ideas. Should we get into this story where Bourla, wish I was a bit taller, CEO of Pfizer, wish I didn't tell so many lies, not saying that Pfizer tells so many lies, is talking to Klaus Schwab, who's just one white cat away from being in a movie with Daniel Craig. I wouldn't like to pry. Just so you know, Pfizer made nearly $26 billion in revenues in the first 3 months of the year, the bulk of it from its COVID-19 vaccine and a new pill to treat the virus. So whatever coronavirus was and wasn't, wherever it came from or didn't, however effective the treatments are or are ineffective, one thing about which we can all be certain is it was bloody good for Pfizer.
How important is cooperation?
Cooperation in an ordinary everyday context means that if you and I are trying to change a tyre on a vehicle or bring up a child or rescue a cat from a tree, it will be easier if we cooperate. In this context, cooperation means what if the governments and non-elected, non-democratic bodies that are funded by things like the Gates Foundation were able to operate along with the FDA, the regulatory agency that's meant to control or at least regulate the pharmaceutical industry, all collaborated together. Do you notice the difference between these two words? Cooperation, conspiracy.
I mean, not only you have to have cooperations with other businesses, but also with governments.
Cooperation from governments. Now, of course, a government is obviously supposed to have been elected to represent the people that elected it and whose tax contributions pay for it. Isn't there a problem if governments start cooperating with big business and non-elected bodies like the WEF or the WHO or the IMF or all of these little three-letter bloody organisations, none of whom I remember vote for, and some of whom I don't even know what it means? I'm sure at least one of them is run by Hulk Hogan.
I feel you have sometimes to do also with very little knowledge of government for such matters like complicated medicines.
What complicated medicines? What are you talking about? Oh.
What is the importance of cooperation? How do you approach it?
We saw it in all aspects. For example, AstraZeneca partnered with academia, Oxford, to make it happen.
Good. AstraZeneca partnered with Oxford, which then cooperated with Bill Gates, who then patented them vaccines. And then he cooperated in a really lovely way by making sure that those patents weren't available for free. So if you do believe that the vaccine should be freely available on the continent of Africa, we're going to cooperate with you by telling you to fuck off.
We partnered with a small biotech to make it happen.
They partnered with BioNTech, a smaller company that obviously developed vaccine technology. Who else are they cooperating with?
We partnered with FDA.
Oh, that's nice that the regulatory body who receive 45% of their funding from the pharmaceutical companies that they are meant to regulate, cooperate with them. Don't use the word conspiracy now.
How much is the mRNA technology protected by patents or...
I think it's the Holy Grail. Without the protection, BioNTech would never have the money that they got from their investors to develop it.
Obviously, talking points around patents, I suppose, are to cover the controversial and seemingly hypocritical issue, which was, you'll be aware of, that if these vaccines are really good for you, and that's the reason that you want people to have them, because they're healing diseases and save lives, it's not about profit, okay, then can people on the continent of Africa have them? can't? No. Why? Oh, they're so clumsy. They're clumsy over there. They'll muck about in those factories. We can't just give away our patents. It's not as simple as that. Okay. What about the troubled plant in Baltimore, which is not, of course, Pfizer, but did make a significant number of vaccines. In some cases, it seems possibly quite badly. Batches them necessarily destroyed. Oh, that's okay. They're all right. Right. So just let me be straight. Are these vaccines about making money or are they about keeping people healthy? And I know that, things could be two things simultaneously. I'm aware of that, but just help me to understand how this really works.
Without intellectual property, we would never have the money that we have because everything we do it with other people's money. They're called shareholders. Yeah. They can tell us, put the money in new research or give it back to us for dividends.
Cool. So, just follow the science. Good old science. Science that won't be undertaken if it's not profitable because they're beholden to shareholders. So, do you see how the objectivity and empiricism of science is used to veil the reality of commerce and capitalism? You just heard that dude say it at the WEF. Well, we can't do more research if our shareholders don't want us to. And what do you think the shareholders are interested in when they buy those shares? Quick! We've got to get some effective vaccines. I don't care about the money. Just take the damn stuff. Should we do some research into diseases that are less profitable? Give me back my money, honey.
I think the bloodline...
Probably don't want to talk about bloodlines too much at Davos.
...of the innovative industry, it is this concept that a property cannot only be bricks and mortar, can also be intellectual property.
That leads me exactly to the next question. What drives you, actually?
What could it be? What drives CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla? Well, he's just told you about shareholders. You've just heard $26 billion of profits. What drives Albert Bourla?
Is it scientific curiosity?
Is it scientific curiosity?
I like what I do.
This is PR for globalist technocracy. There's no investigative questioning, is there? There's no, do you think it's right that you've made this much money? Couldn't we do this more fairly? How do you feel about ordinary people? What do you think about all the controversy about it? Why do you think that people have felt pressured? Why do you think there's such a lack of trust? These are the kind of questions that you would have at a legitimate conference rather than a puff piece that's designed to lubricate the corridors of power so mighty cocks of future interests can be eased into your reality.
How would you foresee the future? Should we be afraid of another virus? And what does it mean? How we create the necessary resilience personally, nationally, globally?
Personally, nationally, globally. Problem is, Klaus, is if you make the decisions globally, the choices you make nationally and personally are irrelevant.
On the first question, I don't think that the virus will disappear.
I fucking hope not.
We are not certain about it, but most scientists agree that the virus will be around forever.
Please God.
But the real question that everybody is asking is not this. It is, can we get our lives back? Can we live normal economic activity, normal social activity with the virus presence? And the answer is yes. I think we can.
When we tell you.
Absent a variant that we have not foreseen right now, that can happen, but it's not the most likely scenario. I think we have the means right now, very effective vaccines.
We make them, by the way, available in shops now.
As the virus mutates, we have the ability to follow up and, let's say, update the vaccines.
So there'll still be vaccines. We make them available from Bourla.
Now, on the second question, we are afraid of a new, very different virus that would come, and to have now all these examples with the monkey pox.
Oh, the monkeypox, it's new, it's sensational, it gives you them bumps, it's monkeypox. We got a fucking vaccine for that, you better believe it.
I don't think we should be afraid, but I think we should be prepared.
And a little bit excited, because I make a fortune out of these things.
And that should, even the little fear that we have, that should ease it. And if we are prepared, I think science will win.
Well, science is winning, particularly science married to corporate commerce, not correctly regulated. In a sense, this is how materialism and rationalism has won the day. How we live now in a technocracy where all of our ideas, now personal autonomy and authority, is being gradually handed over to these centralized bodies and their data capturing, data analyzing ethos, where everything is reduced to measurable components. And to a degree, that is, of course, careful, knowing how much flour or how many eggs you might need in a cake. I'm a vegan, don't panic, I'm a vegan, is, of course, helpful. But when everything becomes about data and management, you know that there is one piece of data that matters above all else. And we've already told you what that number is. It's $26 billion.
Albert, when you look at, let's say, the process to get approval.
If you don't want to seem like Monty Burns or some kind of supervillain, probably best not to arrange your fingers into an Illuminati triangle at Davos. Excellent.
And usually it's a very FDA, as European authority, it's a very cumbersome process.
Oh, regulation is so cumbersome, making sure that the laboratory is clean and that we have to make things properly. Get it out of my way, it's so cumbersome. Oh, this bra is so cumbersome, get it off. Just let everything flop about and make a nice big profit.
Do you feel governments understood very fast your needs and reacted positively to your needs?
I don't fucking care about Albert Bourla's needs, do you? That's not how you should run a country. First and foremost, how's Albert Bourla? He's fucking minted. That's how he is. Right, good. Does anyone need any medicine? Because we're getting it off Albert Bourla.
Would you recommend for the future any change in public-private cooperation if we are confronted again with such a situation?
Should there be another pandemic, could you just tell us now exactly what we should do? Or this cumbersome bloody regulation, strapping our boobies too tight? Couldn't we just move it aside and sell things to people whenever we want?
There are a lot of good examples, great examples, and there are examples that maybe we can improve for future situations.
So there you go, you're able to watch an agenda being established at a WF conference in real time. Klaus Schwab and CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla, discussing what should happen in the event of future pandemics. That's simply being discussed right now. There might not be so many garish attendees this year, your Bill Gateses or heads of state, but this is a demonstration of how power operates, or at least non-official power. It's not concealed, like Edward Snowden told us when he came on the podcast Under the Skin. He says the worst conspiracies are not all the ones that do with crazy Barack out there, crazy stuff. It's things that you can see in places like you're being spied on, everything's run economically, regulation is set from centralised organisations, you can watch it happen, they're having conferences, they're on the bloody telly, there's nothing to worry about. And they don't call it conspiracy, they call it cooperation. Pfizer announced that its COVID-19 vaccine brought in $37 billion last year, making it easily the most lucrative medicine in any given year in history. That's not an insignificant fact when you're running a business, is it? When you've got the degree of lobbying power, that degree of commercial power, the degree of advertising power within media. I'm not suggesting anything about the vaccines. I'm tired of talking about that kind of stuff. Everyone should make their own decisions, in my humble opinion. And it's not a territory that I'm interested in straying on. Certainly not on this platform. But $37 billion in profit is not an insignificant number. For a company that was until recently the least trusted company in the least trusted industrial sector in the US, COVID-19 has been a PR coup. Right from the start, Pfizer was clear that it just wanted to make a lot of money from COVID. The company claims that its vaccine costs under £5 per dose to produce. Others have suggested it could be much cheaper. It's been claimed that the company initially tried to pitch their medicine to the US government for $100 a dose. You know and I know what capitalism is. You and I know what the profit incentive is. I guess at this point we're not even discussing radical revolutionary politics and the breakup of monopolies and how to change the world. We're simply talking about, is that too much profit to make during a period of international crisis? And if an international crisis is really good for the most powerful interests in the world, do you worry about international crises starting to be regarded as a positive thing? This is Nick Dearden, Director of Global Justice Now. Corporations like Pfizer should never have been put in charge of a global vaccination rollout because it was inevitable they would make life and death decisions based on what's in the short-term interests of their shareholders. We need to dismantle the monopolies that have handed these financialised beasts such power and instead invest in a new network of research institutes and medical factories around the world that can actually serve the public. Here's one contradiction that has to be addressed. I know a lot of you, because I read the comments, have varying opinions, shall we say, about lockdowns and vaccines, and I believe that you're entitled to your opinions. Here's an interesting fact, though. If you believe that vaccines are the best thing in the world and the necessary solution to the problem of the pandemic, and I know there are people that believe that as well, a significant number of people believe that, then shouldn't they have been made readily available in poorer countries, or does it only matter that richer countries have access to that medicine? There's a problem there, particularly when these ideas are couched in neoliberalist politics that are all about fairness and sharing and kindness. And whenever there's any cynicism and doubt, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a nutter, you're against progress, follow the science. We've just heard the problem with following the science is that the science follows the money. That's the issue. Science is a subset of commerce. Truly objective science, as is being suggested here, independent networks focused on scientific endeavour. Of course we want that. You'd have to be an idiot to sort of deny the effectiveness of bloody geniuses in laboratories looking at cells and examining the behaviour of viruses and medicines, although I would suggest there is some evidence that implies that that should be conducted with extreme caution, especially if you're near a wet market. There's all sorts of stuff comes out of those things. But science within extreme commercial and financial imperatives, we just accept as normal because none of us appreciate the water that we swim in. This is our reality. So we just go, oh, it's just normal. Yeah, big business, shareholders. We don't do the research if it's not cost effective. We've grown up on that. But it's a problem when you present it as medically effective, socially responsible, personally necessary. There are many, many questions that are left unanswered, and not questions that are going to be asked by Klaus Schwab at the bloody Davos WF puff piece factory that's primary intention, it seems to me, is to create a globalist technocracy, limit your individual power, your community, collective, and even national power. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Share it around. Let's get these opinions out there. We need to know what you believe in, what you feel matters. You're the ones that directed us. I didn't even know Davos existed. I didn't know what went on in these places till you told us about it. So keep us informed, keep giving us a thumbs up, keep subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either one of these two crazy little guys. And please sign up to my mailing list. We do live Zoom calls, we do live events, we do all sorts of stuff that we can't discuss here. So sign up to that mailing list now. Stay free.